and it's really fun to play with. And I'm gonna kind of show you all a little bit of that in a bit.
You know, we learned yesterday that the oldest variety of corn, right, was found in Tamaulipas.
In Tamaulipas?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Melissa, it was like the oldest corn varietal was found, well, to date, right?
To date.
Was it Tamaulipas? Tamaulipas. And are you from Tamaulipas?
I'm from Nuevo León, but my mom is from Tamaulipas.
Because I'm like, wait,
we're all together.
Right? So how did you get into corn? Because we have a lot of students out there that are exploring culinary as an option, and they're like, well, I don't know if I want to be a chef. But you, who are you, and how did you get to be in this corn realm?
Yeah, so
how'd you get so corny?
corny.
Sorry, guys.
No, it's true. So I didn't go to culinary school, but I recommend you do. I was studying anthropology in Austin, and at the same time, I was working jobs in sushi. Sushi restaurants, they consider rice to be sacred. It's like, when you have sushi, you know, the most important thing is the rice. That's 80% of importance. The fish you put on top of it is 20%. And at the same time, I was taking classes on like Latin American food politics and like learning a lot about my own identity through that. And I started realizing a lot of modern high-end restaurants were using these corn varietals that were heirloom and belonged to small family farms. And then I started thinking about how tacos and tortillas are the same thing. They're sacred. Maíz is sacred. We are people of corn. There's this long lineage that we have that connects us to the land. And for me, you know, when I have a taco, it's like the tortilla is like the central point. What you put on top of it doesn't really matter so long as your tortilla is really good. So that was like the first entryway.
So sushi was your gateway to corn?
Yeah,
from
I mean,
sushi to corn.
From sushi to corn.
Yeah, right. If rice is some of the most important elements of sushi and Asian culture and cuisine, it makes sense that as you were taking Latin American classes, that you were like, wait a minute, corn is our sacred.
Yeah, and in a lot of Mexican restaurants, they're not valued the same way that other foods are, like French food or Japanese food. You know, when you go to eat at those restaurants, they come at a really steep price point. But a lot of people still expect Mexican food to be really cheap, you know, $2 for a taco.
Stripes prices, Stripes economy.
Yeah, and it's like, how can...
You ate a Stripes taco this morning.
I wanted to.
You did it. The camera guy raises his hand real quick. Anyone else? No one? Not one person? They're like, no, we haven't had breakfast, miss, hurry up.
So that was my entryway. I was like, corn is so special, and I kept learning about it, and I made a big like U-turn when I was working in these restaurants, and I was like, I need to work in a restaurant that is doing, you know, honoring corn in a new way, you know, that's connecting to it and that's trying to educate our communities why it's so important. But I didn't want to just, you know, go into like a high-end restaurant because a lot of like people like me, we can't really eat at those restaurants all the time. Yeah. So it's like, how can we make corn accessible to everyday people? And when the pandemic hit, I kind of got displaced from Austin, came back to the Valley to help family out, and a lot of problems kind of surfaced, and like health problems, economic problems. So we're thinking about, okay, how can we feed our community something that is nourishing, culturally appropriate, and, you know, beautiful? And how can we have this educational platform that's also tangible, that we can consume it, that we could feel it and connect to it in a way? And that's kind of how Neighborhood Molino was born. I found my Molino on Facebook Marketplace, and awesome. I picked it up in Brownsville, put it in my car.
So Facebook was your gateway to that company?
Yeah.
What did you type? Were you like Marketplace?
I was like Molino, and I was like looking it up. There's like smaller hand cranks that you can get, and I started doing that. They're like $40, and you can grind your own corn that way. But to do it in a way to share it with more people, I needed something a little bit bigger. So the Molino, it's an electric stone mill that is, you know, made to grind corn and do nixtamal. So I invested a little bit of money into that and just started selling tortillas at the farmer's market. It was hard. People didn't want to pay $6 for 12 tortillas,
No,
you know?
how much did we pay at HEB? Like,
Like-
30 for $1.38 or something, and then sometimes you get them free with a combo local.
Yeah. So to educate people on why these tortillas were different, why they're worth what they're worth. You know, we have to think about how much we're paying the farmers that are growing these varieties. You know, you can't grow this the same way you grow like corn in the U.S., where it's just like acres and acres and acres of corn. These are grown in milpa, so it's a different agricultural system where you have corn and beans and chiles all intermingling that give it all these different nutrients. And not every single corn cob is going to be the same size. You're going to get some tiny ones, some big ones, some that are multicolored. So it's a lot harder. And they're also then, they seed them by hand. So, you know, you have the cob and then they have to like scrape them, all the different cobs to get these kernels. So they're a lot more expensive naturally, you know. You don't want to pay the people going through this hard work a wage that's not, like, that they're not going to be able to live with. So that's the foundation of corn.
So these are from different companies, different farms, or
different farms, yeah. So
where are these from?
This one's from the Yucatan region. It's called Shnulnak.
Wait, what's it called?
Schnul.
Say we get an overhead on that. I don't know if
Schnuknal.
you guys can see the name, but that is a rowdy name.
XNUUKNAAL.
That is wild.
This one, the pink one, is called Cónico Rosa, and it's from Tlaxcala. Tlaxcala in Nahuatl means tortilla. Tlaxcali means tortilla. So Tlaxcala is a land of tortillas. And then this blue one is called Bolita Azul because it's roundish. And this
That's
one's from
easy.
Oaxaca. It's the easiest one. So, yeah, and for the last 6 months, we've been doing a brunch pop-up at TC Sweets where we try to showcase masa in creative platforms or avenues. We do tlacoyos. We have a cute taco. So it's a remix of the cute taco from Stripes. We put it in a tlacoyo filled with beans. On top, it's like potato, eggs, bacon. So we're trying to
Cute
take...
taco, but a cute taco.
So yeah, we're trying to take a lot of what is South Texas and at the same time trying to honor corn in a way that's accessible for our community.
Awesome.
So today I'm going to show you how to make tetelas. Tetelas is a street snack from more central and southern regions of Mexico. It's like a little triangle.
Cool.
But we're going to do it.
show that on the screen.
Oh, you have it?
Well, I'm gonna show a picture of it.
Okay.
About the tela, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is what we're making today. You're gonna teach us how to make it. I thought it was a Oaxacan like quesadilla.
Yeah, it basically is. So it's like a little triangle that's filled with different fillings. Most traditionally, it's either cheese or bean. The way that I make it in my pop-up, it's I usually do like rajas with cheese or like cat's chili and cheese with lacoche and cheese. Flor de calabaza is pretty traditional
I'm gonna
too.
share our screen here.
And then we're also going to make a breakfast tetela. So it's going to have chorizo, egg, and bean. So a little South Texas twist on them.
It's good, yeah. Awesome. Cool. So tetelas, triangular, quesadilla, filled stuff.
Yeah,
It makes it
tradition,
like a
triangular
spaghetti.
filled masa pockets.
Awesome. How do you get it in a perfect? Well, you're gonna show us that. How do you
Should-
get it in a perfect triangle shape? Cool.
Yeah, they're
All
beautiful.
right. Awesome. Well, let's do it, Andres. We're gonna make some breakfast tetelas.
Some breakfast tetelas.
So, as you're making your tetelas, how did you get contacts to these farms? Like, how did you say, well, I want yellow corn? Let me Google.
Let me Google.
How
So,
to contact these farms, and were they like,
Whoa, it's a
who
double
are
yolk.
you? What do you want to buy?
so because I was working in restaurants in Austin that were doing similar work, I knew a couple purveyors that were trying to do this. There's about 3 big ones. 2 of them are based in Texas. One of them is called Tamora, which is the one I work with. Tamoa specializes in what I was talking about earlier, only buying the surplus from these family farms. So for me, I wanted to work with them because they have the most sustainable mission. And then another one that's a really big company, it's called Hacienda. They were probably, I would consider them the pioneers, or the people that are leading this like third wave massa movement is what they're trying to claim it to be. So what it means is just trying to make it more accessible to everyday households in the United States. They have a molino that they sell, that they made and sell with their company. They have this prensa that's really beautiful. The prensa is a tortilla press. And this is one of the better ones I've gotten to find. You can only really find this one in Mexico, but they were making it available here in the US.
Oh, that looks fancy. How many of you guys have one of these at home? Show of hands. Do you have a tortilla press, or do you just buy HEB tortillas? If you buy HEB tortillas, raise your hand. Liars. Let me see. Look at the window over here. I'm watching you. Squid Game style. Squid Game.
Not really that much.
So, how many of you have a tortilla press? Bad bayucos. I'm gonna give everyone one for Christmas.
That's a good Christmas gift.
That's a great Christmas gift, right?
Especially this one. It's a little bit pricey, but it's worth it.
Andres, how many of those do you own?
I have, of this one, I just have one, but I have about 2 or 3 other ones. One of them's wood, one of them's like that cast iron circular one. And I just bought a new one that should be coming in this week. It's for machetes. So it's like one of these, but it's like this long.
Oh, it's really big.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
So you make like a log, and then it has like 2 prensas,
cool.
and it makes like a 18-inch long machete.
That's so cool.
So.
And then, so you also sell commercial tortillas. So I'm assuming, do you have like a motorized one where just, like when you guys go to Progreso?
Yeah, so I have a small little tortilla machine. It cuts out the tortilla in the perfect size, but I have to cook it. It's not so big that it cooks it for you. So it's like, it pumps out about 200 tortillas an hour, and I'm just like on a big comal, like grabbing them, cooking them, flipping
200
them.
tortillas an hour. Isn't that cool?
So that's fun. Yeah.
My kind of stomach, let's go, 200 tortillas.
Which is really fun, but I think hand press is always going to be a little bit better.
Yeah.
Just because.
And then there's grandmothers, right, that are like,
boom, 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 boom.
And you're like,
yeah.
what?
I can't do that. That's a skill I haven't learned.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful to watch it and to admire it because the texture is incredible.
So one of my favorite things about you, Andres, is that you don't wait. A lot of us, myself, I speak for myself sometimes only, is that I really like to know everything and anything about something before I do it. I don't know if this happens to you guys. I don't just do things. I don't just play. I'm like, no, if I don't know how to do it by hand, then I'm not gonna do it, period. But one of my favorite things about you is that you just throw yourself in learning as you go. And I don't think a lot of people do that anymore.
Yeah.
I think people are very calculated, right? It's scary.
It's scary.
Right? It's scary to be like, I didn't go to culinary school, but now I'm a professional tortillero, right? Like when I'm I'm telling students about corn, and because you're doing it as you learn, and you didn't start with equipment. You started with a hand molino that was $40 from Marketplace, right? And then you moved on to Marketplace. And I think that a lot of our students have these big ideas, and they're like, but I don't have the money. Or I don't know
That's the
where to
biggest
start,
thing.
right?
It's the money. It's like, I feel like I didn't have a choice because it was amidst like during the pandemic, and I didn't really have a job, and I was trying to work in places here, but I don't know. I was getting paid a certain amount in Austin, and then I come here and I'm not, I'm getting paid like $9-10 an hour, and I was like, I can't really live off that, so I need to figure out something. And the little bit I knew about the molino and the masa, like I got to learn enough to know that, okay, if I get it, I can do it. Like I can learn, I can do it, and it's gonna be hard. So that was my push to it. It was like I need to make this happen in some way. And you know, the way that I cook my food too, it's like, how can I sell Mexican food in a region that is
we love
dominated with Mexican food?
We love bueno, bonito, y barato, right?
Yeah,
we love
exactly.
It. We love it to be good. We love it to be cheap, and we love it to be delicious, right? And trendy. So right now we're cooking out some chorizo. It smells great in here.
It smells so good. But yeah, I mean, and then with our pop-up, what ended up happening, or how we got that started, was I didn't have a place to showcase my food. That's why I was selling tortillas at the farmer's market. Selling tortillas and selling masa, but that wasn't working out the way I hoped. That's a lot of what it is. It's trial and error. Like, you try something, you see it's not working, you kind of have to pivot. So fortunately, my mother-in-law has a bakery, CC Sweets in McAllen, and they're closed on Sundays. So I knew, and you know, I asked for permission. I asked like, hey, can I do something out of your bakery on a day that you're closed? And she said yes. So I spent like a month, 2 months developing a menu, getting the permits, and just started operating out of there. It was just my partner and I. She was taking orders and I was cooking, and we tried to make it happen. That's how it was. When you don't have money, you need to figure something out. A lot of restaurants, you know, they're opened by people that have tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands. And when you're up and coming, when you're trying to do something, you don't have access to that money. You still need to share your food. You still need to convince people that you're doing something that is valuable, that you have a voice, and you know, you can get stuck working for someone for so long, or you can, you know, just try to showcase a little bit of what you know. So the chorizo is almost done cooking. It's getting a nice sear on it.
I really want everybody to taste this masa. I'm gonna get my tortilla on. So I really want everybody to taste this masa. It's gonna take you to a place. I hope it does. I know it does for me. It takes me back to my childhood farm in Mexico that I grew up in. And you're only gonna taste just a little piece. You know, we're gonna try to get some masa, some tortillas. You want a really big one? Rachel wants the biggest tortilla ever. Yeah, we'll cut it into little pieces. What about you guys? Do you have any questions? Don't look at my tortilla review. This is harder than it looks. This is why I don't do Mexican cuisine.
Try with the yellow or the blue one.
Don't look at it! I'm a chef!
Making tortillas is hard.
I was like, let me just really quickly make some tortillas, and then it's like, my Mexican card has been revoked. But you can't take my citizenship card. I paid for that one.
True.
So, do we have any questions out in the audience? Anything about anything? Do you all remember your grandmas making tortillas? Do you make tortillas? Talk to me. Who's out there?
One of the
No
fun
questions
things.
at all? Wow. Do you guys like the yellow tortillas from HEB?
Huevitos.
All right, so Andres is making us breakfast, chorizo and egg here. A what? A story. Tell me a story. Yes, please. We want it. Tell me a story. Tell us.
Me?
No. A ver.
Oh.
Can you speak up? So she doesn't buy any tortillas at all? She makes them all? Her mom?
He does buy it, but
She'll mostly make flour tortillas. Yeah, we don't really make corn tortillas anymore, right? We do flour, but why do you think that is, Andres? Why don't we make? Is it just because masa is hard to actually like get the perfect texture?
So it's not so much about getting the masa to the perfect texture. It's just that a lot of tortillerias and molinos that specialized in grinding their own corn went out of business. What ended up happening was that companies like Maseca and the Mexican government, NAFTA, all these different aspects discouraged farmers to grow corn, discouraged tortilleros, molineros to continue operating because they were making it financially impossible for them. They were promoting masa harina because it was a lot easier to do on a huge scale. Maseca is a company that now is like global.
Yeah.
And
Masa harina is instant masa. You just add water and it's good, right?
It's a flour and then it's a masa flour, masa harina. That's what harina means. And then you just add water, you knead it together. And if you taste it, like, it tastes nice. It's like, okay, you can get a nicer texture than HEB tortillas, but it doesn't have the beautiful flavor of corn. It's, it's completely void of that. It's also void of all the nutrients that nixtamalized masa has. And this masa, the thing about it is it doesn't last too long. It's best fresh. You want to use it within the first couple of days or else it'll start getting sour. So it doesn't really hold on store shelves that well. So you need someone that is dedicated to their craft, that is making that available for the community at a price that's accessible. And that's why a lot of corn here in the border, northern Mexico, is not there anymore. Flour became the predominant ingredient. Flour is also, it was brought by Spanish and European colonizers, and they made corn seem like it was, poor people food. Like they also said that corn was like the devil.
What?
They wanted to promote flour so much that they were saying that the indigenous people of Mexico.
Because they were corn worshippers.
They were corn worshippers.
Oh, that's so crazy.
Imagine. Your tortillita.
Leave my tortillas alone. I'm just kidding.
So that's why flour has been the predominant thing over the last few hundred years in northern Mexico, South Texas, and the U.S.
So what are we making right now?
So we're going to start with the tetelitas, yeah.
Woo!
So this masa, since I left it out, it gets a little dry. You wet your hands, and we're doing it. And for tetelas, you want a pretty decent sized ball. I'm going to show you some cool techniques. So here's your first one. We're going to do
It's like tortilla origami.
It's like tortilla origami, yeah. So for me, I don't know. I was telling y'all about how I got into sushi, and you're trying to make these perfect little rice balls. I feel the same way with masa. I think it is equally artful, if not harder, to make tortillas and tetelas and different masa shapes. We know all these different names from of pastas. You have, I don't know, rigatoni.
Gnocchi, farfalle,
Gnocchi.
orecchiette. Yeah,
We know all that, but none of us are Italian. So I think it's really fun to start learning different masa names. And learn how to practice them, I think that's something that should be more accessible. So here's like an easy one. We have just a cheese tetela, and we're gonna fold it just into like a little triangle. That's the first slit. And then you do the second one, and it's hard to make them like even size. And the thing with the tetelas is you don't wanna manage them too much. The more that you manage them, sometimes the uglier they get. So you have to be intentional about your movements. So we have that one there. We flip it. And then I like to press it a little bit just to even the edges out. And here we have just a regular cheese tetela.
Ooh, Ooh, cheesy gordita.
And with this
crunch.
masa, it's a lot easier to work with than like masa harina, just because since it is a nixtamal, you have a lot more elasticity to work with. And we're gonna start cooking it over here. That pan got a little hot.
So what kind of menus do you do? I know you're a cool kid. You got
I'm a
the
cool kid.
tattoos. He's a cool kid, chef. But I saw on one of your menus or on one of your brunch menus, you had like what is that, Taco Bell Crunchwrap Supreme?
I did so I did a crunch wrap with like whole grain, locally grown wheat flour. And then inside it had a tostada made from this corn. And I did like a vegan version, so it's just like different kinds of bean in it, you know. They were all heirloom beans, so some of them are like refried, some of them whole, and just really good heirloom tomatoes from the summer, making it a little bit healthier, but still kind of hitting that nostalgia from these like fast food places.
Yeah, so again, like, you know, we think as chefs that we are serious all the time and we do serious food all the time and we got to do like French art and stuff. And sometimes we do. A lot of the times we do. But we also like to have fun and play around, and you know, an homage to Taco Bell fast food, bringing in, making it as authentic as possible is something that's, you know, very, very cool.
And here we're gonna
like the taco too, right? You have your cute taco, but then how do you make it? Yeah, you know, heirloom corn variety. How do you make it chefy?
Chefy.
Well, what are you doing there? Wait, what? Mixing masas?
Yeah,
Like
so the cool thing about this is you get to just like...
You're doing like the Play-Doh thing.
Yeah, it's like basically Play-Doh with the masa. So you're doing different colors, different shapes. You know, we can make like a little bullseye there. And you're gonna see once it's folded how
That smells so good.
how pretty it looks. That's a little too much
Look,
masa.
chef, we can smell it.
So there we have like a little...
That's so cool.
Well, we could even add a little bit more blue in the middle.
A bullseye.
So you
It's
have...
like art and food. And
Yeah, so you get this, you flip it around. We're gonna press it a little bit more, make it bigger. And this one, we're gonna fill with just a little bit of these refried beans.
No, but the ladies on stripes need to take a lesson from you. The ladies from stripes.
A little
That's
bit
a
of it.
hard job, imagine. It's a hard job to make tortillas right away and like egg.
Yeah, and they're doing it, you know, they're doing a lot. So we're doing bean, egg, cheese, very South Texas, very breakfast taco style.
Nice.
With the last here, you start seeing it cook all the way through.
Awesome, like a perfect little square.
And when you're making tortillas, if you can cut back to the tortilla press, you kind of want to make it into a triangle shape so that you're getting a bite of all the food when you bite into it. And I'm telling you, they're not easy to make. They're a little tricky. This is just because I have to make them all the time. But this.
So what do you charge for one tortilla, especially this size?
I charge $7.
That's 2 striped tacos.
That's 2 strip tacos. But
Yes, go ahead.
you know, all this corn was cooked overnight. It was ground. It's a whole process. It's not just this, you know. So you're thinking you have to value your labor a certain way. And I think about it in how you go to HEB and you buy a little sushi roll. It's $9,
Yeah.
right?
Even the sushi one.
Yeah, sushi. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
$9-10 for a little roll.
And this is.
So we're doing this, right?
What?
And that's
cool,
bean,
right?
cheese.
Bean and cheese. Oh, do you need another?
Nah.
Saute pan?
I think we're good on this one. And once you get the 2 sides cooked, I like to just kind of seal them or sear them on the corners. And you can keep doing them like that, you know. And that's just so the sides end up getting cooked all the way through. So you don't have any raw masa for the people.
No raw masa. That's a That's a good rock and roll band name.
Raw masa.
Any questions out there about what you're witnessing? Any like aha moments? Does anything you guys resonate with? Guys, the past two groups. Okay, I was like, you better ask me some questions. You better tell me some stories.
It was mentioned that the last time you got to put in 2 days, so you have to leave it in 2 days because it goes bad. Do the kernels go bad as well?
No.
No. So what goes into the masha, you make it into a masha from the kernels that doesn't allow it to sit longer.
So
Why does it go bad?
it goes bad just because it's alive. I mean, the flavor changes. It's like if you have a cooked food and you let it sit in your fridge for 3 days, 4 days, it's gonna start. The flavor is gonna start changing. It's like a very slow, natural fermentation that just makes it a little bit sour. So it doesn't go bad. It just goes a little sour, and you don't have to throw it away then. There's a lot of different techniques and recipes that actually call for sour masa. There's like, yeah, it's an atole agrio, so it's like a sour atole, and you just get that sour masa. Just make sure it's not like 2 or 3 weeks old. And you make it into a drink, dissolve it in water. You could spice it up with whatever fruit you have, and then you have a really cool drink. You could still make it a little bit sour. If you want to have like a sour masa, just add ingredients that will, you have to make sure that the filling then is conscious of the sourness. So you want to get the 5 flavor profiles. You want to have something sour, sweet, savory, etc. You can also then, if you know you're not going to use it, you could freeze it and then just keep it in your freezer. It's not going to start fermenting there, and then you just thaw it out. You could use it for tamales or anything else. So it's just being resourceful and conscious of how much masa you're making, how much masa you have, and then what else you can make with it. So this tetela is done. Do you want to break into it, Nadia?
Yes. Where's your Ruben? Can you be my?
Yo. Some food.
So we have
Salsitas. We do have some salsitas. I think these two would be good with
Wait,
it.
what are these, Andres?
These are little salsas.
You make them?
I make them. I bought them. A little salsa matcha.
That's so cool.
If you have a little plate.
You're such a cool chef. Yeah, with the old English, with the
Las milpas font. No old English. Las milpas.
salsa matcha. So what is that? So you also make salsita.
I do everything.
But yeah, we gotta make money, right?
Yeah. So yeah, salsitas is salsa matcha. So it's oil based with some dried chiles, different nuts. I use pumpkin seeds, popped amaranth, things that.
Here?
Yeah, all that's in there. Fried garlic, bunch of fried onion.
Oh my god.
I've made versions with like. You want to break into it?
Yeah. How do I break it?
You could bite straight into it. You could rip it in half. Get that cheese pool.
Body of right?
Dum, 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 dum.
I mean, kinda. Okay. Yeah.
Just rip into it.
Yeah. Indian cheesesteak, mozzarella. Wait, no, no.
Come back, come back.
No.
It's still there.
Where are we? Oh, we're on program in the kitchen. He
Ah.
got excited. The camera guy got so excited he forgot where the camera was. That's awesome. Look at that.
Nice cheese pool.
Will you break the wishbone? The wishbone? Yeah, that's it. It's like an accordion.
So it's just really fun food.
Oh my gosh.
And this is all like, we all eat quesadillas. We all eat like chorizo, bean, egg, cheese, little salad.
Here's why. The queso,
Aquí está su salecita.
there you go.
Perdón.
The queso from La Vaquita, no tiene mucho sabor.
No, it has no salt. That's why you add other.
Something happened.
That's why you add other little things to it. What else are we gonna?
It doesn't need no salt.
No salsita on it.
Do we have any questions? Chef, can we get some?
I wish I could make 500 at once. That's the thing with this.
You're gonna
I will.
Alright. Any stories about quesadillas? About this school, right?
Doo-doo-doo-doo.
You guys really, you're gonna make some tortillas for you. Our lab assistant Rachel's gonna make some tortillas. Woo! The green one, tika. She made like tortillas for you. She did also make the little tortillas that enough for you that they're enjoying. So what is the future for you, though? Where is neighborhood Molino going?
So we're actually moving to Austin next month, which is exciting and sad. Just because, I don't know, I really fell back in love with the Valley ever since I've been down. But we're going to Austin. The goal over there is to try to create a co-op space with a molino, a tortilleria, a bakery, and just do really fun Mexican food, honestly. I dropped a little ball of masa. No one saw. I think they did.
That's awesome. So can you tell our students what a co-op is and what?
Yeah, so a co-op is like a shared kitchen space where people kind of share the profits. Everyone goes into it a little bit. The reason for that, it's just because it's, as I'm sure a lot of you all are aware, and from what I talked about, it's really hard to open a restaurant. It's really hard to have a physical space. So we have a couple friends over there that are also doing some really interesting stuff with Mexican food and making it accessible.
I'm sure my mistake.
So we're trying to share a space together and just, yeah, just keep sharing this kind of food. This is the other egg, bean, and cheese tatela, which looks really pretty. A lot of people like to fry them. The reason I don't like to fry them or use oil with them is just because the masa is already so flavorful on its own. I don't season the masa with salt either. If you think about like white rice in Asian cuisine, it's the same thing. You're not seasoning it. You have it as a plain thing, and you're trying to honor the ingredient as much as you can. And then the filling is where all these other flavors are kind of coming into play. So here's this bean, egg, cheese. If anyone wants to eat it here in the kitchen, it'll be right there.
Why does my tortilla keep sticking to the...
It's a plastic. So another thing is the plastic that I use is HEB shopping bags.
Oh,
That's a pro tip. HEB makes the best shopping bags.
have a plastic bag.
And here, ¿se te apagó?
I've been off this entire time.
No.
Look, my students are gonna come and try to get some. Oh my gosh! Come on down, students. Come and make some tortillas. Do you mind?
I don't mind.
Cool.
So,
We have, I think we have about 15 minutes for questions, and any other general musing stories that you guys want to share with Andres. Andres, where can we find you on social media so everyone can pull up their phone and follow you?
online, it's on Instagram, it's at neighborhood.molino. And then Facebook, I believe it's the same thing. You can look us up online. Some articles should pop up.
You were recently featured in Texas Monthly, yes?
Yes, which is pretty cool.
How did that feel? Like, you know, from Marketplace, from Facebook Marketplace to Texas Monthly.
A little crazy. It's like, I don't know. My goal being here has just been to shine a light on the valley, that our food is really interesting, that it's not just like cheap food, that we're doing.
Not a plant.
Yeah, so you could also add different herbs to your tetelas. This is parsley from y'all's garden. Usually I would use cilantro, but you could keep adding different things to it. Like, I want y'all to see that masa is like, it's a whole rabbit hole. It's a tunnel of creativity that we need to continue to explore. It's like, I think that we're only scratching the surface to how much we could do with fresh masa.
Yeah, we don't play like the way you're playing right now. We don't explore. We don't.
No, and
you know,
I try to channel like my inner kid through this. It's like,
Play-Doh.
you know, what makes me happy. Some days are really hard, and then I realize, okay, I'm gonna take my time for the next 2-3 hours. I'm just gonna make really beautiful tetelas or tlacoyos, and take my time with them and be intentional and be present with them, because it's a whole process to make them, and this is, you know, the final result, you know. So it's really about staying grounded, because being in kitchens is stressful. Working in restaurant kitchens is so stressful. You're trying to do this in a rush, they're not gonna come out great.
Right.
You need to center yourself, take your time.
And if you think about it, guys, growing up, right? Those of us that grew up with family members making tortillas, it was like a whole thing. It wasn't just like a hazlo en una hora. It was like, you know, and you're kikiing, jajaing, comadreando, you know, talking about who's having whose baby and how they're not fit for each other together, right? It's a vibe. And so I think that's what you guys call it. It's a vibe. It's a community. It's being in connection with each other and facilitating this, you know, art of like feeding people. And we don't have that luxury anymore as humans. Everything is, I need to eat, and I need to go to school, and I need to pick up the kids, and I need to do this, and I need to do that. And yes, some of us, we need to do that to survive. But next time you're doing a carne sasso, next time the Cowboys are playing, you know what? Show up with a little fresh masa and be like, you know what? You can still talk to me. We can watch the game and we can. And then people are going to be like, wow, man, I haven't had a fresh corn tortilla in years. And that's how we can start little by little, right? I'm not saying you guys got to make your own tortillas every day. No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying when there is time, right?
When there is time.
When there is time, be intentional about that time. And as culinarians, right?
Yeah.
As chefs, that is what people want from our journey. They want to know, no, mi hijo's going to culinary school, fíjate? And it's like, well, what is he going to make, right? And you show up with something, a different vegetable. You show up with a different dish. And you say, hey, man, just try it, right? Just try it. Try it, see if you like it. And I think that's something that we can start doing as people who love this industry, as people who want to get funkier and better and cooler with our food. We can start figuring out in what ways we can introduce these techniques that have carried us as humans into our modern lives today, right? Little by little. One Cowboys game at a time.
One Cowboys game at a time.
One
I think
farmer's market
that's a
purchase at a
really
time.
beautiful, well said approach. Sometimes you see, I kind of mess up. That's fine. Look.
That's such a cool tortilla.
I'm gonna show you all a little trick.
So do you do any sweet stuff? Like do you do any empanaditas or like, you know, because masa is also a sweet thing,
Yeah,
right?
you could add different sugars to it. I think you came to one dinner that we did.
Oh my God, it was amazing.
We did
the empanada was...
an empanada. It was a pumpkin and cajeta empanada. And then on top, it was like totomoxle, so the burnt corn husk ash, and sugar, and a little bit of cinnamon. And yeah, completely different flavors, completely different approach. See, I messed up the tetela.
Oh, so you just add you do a little surgery on it?
You do a little surgery on it.
So little band-aid, little masa band-aid. Next time I get a cut, I'm gonna request a masa band-aid.
So here we're going with this beautiful 3-color tetela.
Awesome.
This one's pretty chunky, but...
Chunky yet funky. Large and in charge. Sorry, guys.
So this one's basically done here.
Amazing.
Ooh.
Oh, that's so cool. Cool stuff. Masa, guys. Masa. Do we have any questions on the chat on our Zoom chat? Do we have any questions? Sorry, I haven't been able to look at the Zoom chat. I've been too busy masaing around.
And you can go back to the...
Oh, to the burners?
burners.
Woo! Look at that.
Look at that.
That's a parsley leaf, guys. Don't get excited.
Nadia, we have a question in the audience.
Oh, yes. Hi.
Rip it open.
Sopes with masa?
Yeah, we could do it.
What? No, tamales and sopes is what I heard. And can you use them with this masa?
Yeah, you can make it with this masa. The recipe to make tamales is a little different just because it is, it's already kind of hydrated. So you don't really need to add as much liquid as you would to like a masa harina. And you could use different fats with it. You could use, organic lard. You could use beef tallow. You could use
Beef
coconut oil.
tallow.
Smoked
What?
beef tallow tamales are really good.
Tamales de manteca de res.
Yeah, they're good.
Ooh.
And then you could do vegan ones with shortening or coconut oil. You can make sweet tamales with them. Yeah, you can play around with it as much as you want.
How many of you all make tamales for the holidays? Raise your hands.
We do have a lot of students in the audience that are raising their hands that will be making tamales for the holidays.
Right?
Nice.
Are you
Ordelias.
helping out? You should get a little masa and attempt at the tela. Right?
Yeah.
If your family's making tamales this season, take a picture of the screen and be like, Ama,
I hope y'all make
can I have a little
tortillas.
masa? And then she's gonna be like, no. She's gonna be like, you're gonna mess it up, right? And then you say, please, I want to make a tetela. And try a tetela. And put it on our social media at Culinary Arts on Facebook. I want to see your attempt at tetelas. Because look, your masa's already gonna be done, your mom's gonna be there, you're already gonna have some filling, but all you need is just the art, right? The work of art.
Chuck, we have another question.
Yes, question. Go ahead and start, and then I'll fill them up.
I wanted to ask,
Can you speak up a little bit? Sorry, can you speak up just a bit?
I wanted to ask what the permits that you got so you could go out and sell.
If you need permits to sell masa,
Yes, like, what was the process?
Oh, that's a good one.
yeah, so you do, because it's not a cottage industry food law for masa, since it does like go bad on like baked goods. You just need to operate out of a commissary kitchen, some place that is regulated by the Department of Health. And so long as you're operating out of there, you could sell masa and tortillas at farmers markets. That was the process. I was lucky to have my mother-in-law's bakery to use as a commissary. So that's how I got through that process. I think that's the best way to go about it.
Awesome. Andres, how much is your masa per pound?
So I started selling it at $7 a pound, but now it's down to $6 a pound. And 1 pound gives you about
How many tamales?
18 tortillas. I do sell the masa for tamales separately upon request. And that one, it's about $5 a pound, starting at like 5 pounds.
5 pounds.
Yeah, so it's like 25 pounds. I mean, it's 5 pounds of masa for $25, and that yields about 26 tamales.
Okay.
Yeah, so about $1 per tamale.
Awesome. Have you guys? We're passing out a little bit, just a slice of the pink one. What was that called? That was the one with the interesting
Cónico
name.
rosa,
The pink one.
the cónico rosa from Tlaxcala.
Cónico rosa.
I didn't bring the pink one.
That's okay. Cónico rosa, right? So
Yeah.
you guys are eating the pink one, the pink masa. We're gonna try to get you a little sample of the blue masa, the bolita azul. But what do you think so far? Have you tasted it? Were you like, what? Tastes like corn. Did you guys try it already? Any thoughts on it? Do you smell it? Right? Huele. It smells like Mexico. No? Yes? ¿Quieres más? She's like, I want a whole taco chef. Where's my taco at? Yeah, it smells. It's fragrant. It
Yeah, I make pancakes out of it too.
Oh yes, talk to them about your pancakes.
So at the brunch menu, I make masa pancakes. So they're all gluten free. I don't use any flour in it at all, and I use the masa just as I would flour. Just let it cook. Yeah, that's one more side.
Andres, will you get any of the farmers markets this coming weekend?
No, I stopped doing the farmers market. But if you go on Instagram, send me a message, and I will accommodate for any orders. Yeah, I stopped doing the farmers market just because it wasn't financially viable. It was a little bit hard to sell what I needed to sell to break even. So I stopped doing the farmers market, but I still sell them out of the bakery.
Are you gonna do any tamales, like tamal masa for the holidays, since they are super near, and one last rendezvous before you depart?
Yes, I will be selling masa for tamales for the holidays. What else? Salsas, maybe tamales again. I don't know. I do have like 2 events in the next 2 weekends. I'm doing like these big taquizas at Semilla.
Okay, so where can we can access it there?
So I'll just have tacos there, and hopefully just tacos. There's not just tacos, you know. But
Oh my God, so good.
I'll be making it as accessible as possible. Doing some like barbacoa, carnitas, some mushroom, and all with these tortillas.
Awesome. Well, I think do we have any more questions before we depart, guys? Any other last questions that you want to ask Andres? Thank you so much, Andres, for joining us, for sharing your story, for sharing your masa, for being bold in the valley and trying to sell $6 masa to folks. And any last things that you want to say to our students who are thinking about culinary but they don't know, and
don't forget your roots. Go off and work for people that are showing you cool techniques and whatnot, but don't undermine what your grandma told you, what your mom told you, because they're right about a lot of things. They just don't have the same language that is being used in these professional kitchens. So keep that in mind. Value your culture as much as you can, and put it in there into the world. That's about it.
who wants a question? Sorry, go ahead. Question, yes. Thank you, that was very beautiful.
Did you guys ever make tortillas from your grandma or from your mom or
Or
what?
what? Who taught you how to make tortillas?
The internet.
YouTube.
YouTube.
He said YouTube.
No, I mean, so what's happened a lot too is that a lot of this knowledge is, not as accessible anymore. I grew up with a single mom, and what does my mom do? She makes like spaghetti with little canned ragu sauce.
Yeah,
it's a product of like colonization. It's like, we lost a lot of our techniques and stuff. So yeah, I'm just trying to take it back. So now I'm like showing my mom, my dad about all this, and they're proud in a way. It triggers memories for them of being young. It triggers memories for my grandma of being young. So I think in that it's really special. I got a lot of people that are older talk to me about that, and it's an honor to be able to be so involved with this craft and serious about it and have fun with it, and it being respected by our elders. I think that's what I'm trying to do in some way, and just trying to fill those gaps for myself, because I didn't learn how to make tortillas, but I'm from Mexico, right? It's like, how does that work? And it's, just trying to take that back for myself.
Cool. So there you have it, guys. You don't, again, one of the reasons why you would do a culinary program is to understand the fundamentals of searing, of technique, of skill, right? You invest in something like that. But to have a story and to have a family recipe, you just got to look within your history. And then even if you don't have it, don't be afraid to be like, I want to learn how to be sushi because I may be a sushi master. And it's like, but I'm Mexican. How can I be a sushi master? It doesn't matter. What matters is that you give it your all, right? And it's going to be tough and it's going to be slow, but it's
Yeah.
going to be your journey.
Exactly.
Thank you all so much. My class is going to make tostadas de turkey. And we're gonna have some lunch for you. So give us a second. The meatballs, I think, are gonna be out. We have some ancho meatballs for y'all. This is the recipe of the next speaker, but we wanna feed you. So we're gonna have some lunch. We're gonna adjourn for the day. There's gonna be a wonderful, is it the percussion? Is a percussion ensemble is gonna do a small number. So stick around. Our next speaker is joining us from his kitchen in Houston. He was gonna be here, but because of the ickies, he is gonna join us from his home kitchen. Andres has actually worked with Chef Adan Medrano, and Chef Adan Medrano is gonna show us how to do tingas and talk a little bit more about his inspiration about making South Texas cuisine food. So thank you so much. Follow Andres on Neighborhood Molino. Order his masa and continue to look at his journey, right? Seek inspiration from him. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Nadia. Thank you for
and
listening.
We'll see you at 2 o'clock, guys. Thanks so much.